So yesterday we'd asked the question. Shai, remember the question for yesterday. You answered it. You gave the answer. Why does the Torah, on page 708, why does the Torah describe the reward in physical terms if we know that the ultimate reward is going to be in that? You can make it a little, it doesn't have to be this cold. It's pretty cold. Guys are putting on their coats. I don't want people getting sick. So you can make it a little less cold. Your name is?
Daniel.
Daniel, Shalom Aleichem. Where are you from?
I'm from Florida.
Florida. Okay.
Boca Raton.
Boca Raton. So you know Sam?
Yes,
Sam?
yeah,
Are you
we're
guys
in
in school
same
together?
college.
Okay. That's it.
My
Okay.
new roommates.
Okay. Hi, Sam. So Sam came prepared. Sam brought in a sweatshirt today. You know I just turned it down, so don't get nervous. Okay, so we asked, why is it that the reward is turned in physical terms instead of in the spiritual terms of the world to come? Page 708. So the second answer that the Meforshim say, Meforshim means commentaries. The Meforshim say that since the reward in the world to come is individualized, everybody has gets their own reward in the world to come based on what they deserve. Whereas the reward in the physical world, there's rain, there's prosperity, it's a more of a collective thing. That's a second answer. A third answer is that people can't understand. Yesterday we were talking about it doesn't motivate us as much. Not only does it motivate, we can't even relate to it. A reward of the spirit that's eternal. We can't relate to eternity. We can't relate to reward of the spirit. It's something that's difficult. We could relate to prosperity. That everybody could relate to. A $20 bill brings out the best in us. The idea of some sort of spiritual existence where there's spiritual bliss, it all sounds good, and it is good. It's better than we could imagine, but that's the problem. It's better than we can imagine. Therefore, the Torah doesn't talk in those terms. Those are the three basic answers. But there's a fourth answer, and this is the one that I think is the most applicable to us. I want you to imagine the following. Guy walks up to his salesman. He says, Johnson, you're my best salesman. I need you to go to Denver. We got to close this deal. And I need you to go to Denver. And we can't mess up this time. And you're the best man. Now, you've demonstrated your skills. I don't want you to take a cab to the airport. I want you in a limousine. I want you comfortable to the airport. And I want you flying in first class. I don't want you sitting there for scrunched up in cattle. I want you in the first class, and I want you to stay at a 5-star hotel. And I want you to work the deal for us. And okay, they go. He got limousine pulls up. Nice. You got some booze in the back. I said, hey, this is good. Gets to the airport, straight through, sir, VIP service, first class. It's a rest. Gets to the hotel, a 5-star hotel. Goes and he cuts the deal and he's successful. Comes back, the boss says, great work, Johnson. A week later, the boss is walking around the office and he's handing out paychecks. First guy, second guy, third guy, and he skips over Johnson. And so Johnson figures, sure, the boss is, I'm probably going to get a big bonus here. And nothing happens. Hey, waits, nothing happens. Finally, the next day, he says, boss, I think you forgot to give me my paycheck. Paycheck? You got a limousine? You got first class on the plane? You got a 5-star hotel? Paycheck? You also want a paycheck? I say, listen, boss, I'm not working for limousines. I'm not working for first class. I'm working for the money. Would you rather ride cabs, sit in cattle, and stay at a small motel? Or would you rather be in a limousine? The answer is, it depends on your production. This is not reward. What the Torah is talking over here is not reward. The Torah is talking about benefits that we will get if we serve God properly. I would much rather serve God in a limousine than in a taxi in New York with some sort of driver who I can't even identify what his ethnic background is. And I would much rather be in business class than sitting there on with a kid sitting next to me spilling drinks on me. And I'd much rather be in a 5-star hotel than in a cheap motel. If you do the job right, God says, this is not a reward. This is not a reward. This is that if you serve God right, let's take an example. You're a person who's generous. You give rides in your car to people. You're always, every time you pass by a bus stop, you stop, you give people, a guy says, hey, I like your attitude. Next thing you know, a rich uncle leaves you he leaves you a Mercedes. Because God says you deserve a Mercedes. Problem is, the guy gets in a Mercedes. I'm not putting people in my Mercedes. They're going to mess up the upholstery over here. The guy, next thing you know, Mercedes is stolen. So it depends what you're doing. If a person is generous with his money, God says, listen, you're generous with your money. You're giving a lot. That's not your reward. Your reward's going to be in the world to come for giving people rewards, giving people rides. I'm giving you a benefit in this world because you've showed that you deserved it. A guy brings guests into his house all the time. Every indigent person, every poor person, he brings them into his house. God says, that's great, I like your attitude. So instead of a house, next thing you know, the same uncle gives him a mansion. Gives him a 17-room mansion. Now you could put people up, you could have people sleep, that sort of thing. You deserved it. God said, I'm going to help you do the mitzvahs easier. You want to give tzedakah, I'll give you more money so that you can give more tzedakah. It's not a reward, it's a benefit. That's the difference. It's a way of making us better at doing what we're already doing. The same way you're a good salesman, I treat him the best because he's the guy who can do it for me. If I treat him well, he's going to work even more. We earn the benefit of being able to serve God at a higher level, which any normal person would want. That's what the commentaries say. That's why the reward or the benefits are mentioned in the physical realm. The spiritual realm, that reward is waiting, that waits us. That's something for eternity. Okay, then the Torah says, take a look at pasuk 5 lines from the top. V'nasati shalom ba'aretz, there will be peace in the land. Ushchavtem ve'ein macharid. You go to sleep, you won't be afraid. There won't be any sirens going off. You know how many kids in Israel have trauma right now? You know how many kids they're trauma counseling therapy for kids in Israel have had trauma since, for the last 6 months, since the attacks. Because the kids in the south, there's sirens, and kids in the north, there's a tremendous amount of that. I work with an organization that does therapy, for Shlomo Pincus. You know Shlomo Pincus, right? He's involved with Shlomo Pincus from Carmiel. Yeah. He's involved with this organization that does. They do a lot of counseling. You're a kid who's afraid to take a shower. Teenager is afraid to take a shower because he doesn't want to go into the shower and have the sirens go off.
Why did they say they get used to the sirens and the rockets and everything?
Some do. Listen, you get used to everything in Israel. You get used to a lot of things in Israel. You get used to customer service in Israel. Also, customer service is an oxymoron in Israel. So you get used to a lot of things. There's certain things you get used to, certain things you don't get. You get used to having to do it. You get used to having to do it. My daughter's 7. How old is she? She's 19. 19. She asked me she wants to go visit a friend in the south today. She asked me yesterday if I could go visit a friend in the south. In a seminary in the south. So I said, yeah, it's not a problem. My wife said to me, is it okay? I said, listen, what'll be? If there's a siren in the south, she'll be no different than a few 100,000 other people. She'll go into a shelter. What are you going to do? You can't live your whole life in Israel is like that. There's nowhere in Israel. There's nowhere in America either right now, fellas, but there's nowhere in Israel that you could go where we're going to be okay. So but there's a lot of trauma, tremendous amount of trauma. A teenage kid who won't take a shower because he's nervous to take a shower, and there's a siren's going to go running around to go to the shelter. I'm telling you, it's a serious thing. So Torah promise, ushchavtem ve'ein machrid. You'll be able to lie down in peace, and nobody's going to scare you. Now, one of the Mefarshim says over here that where is it? 1 second. Where is it? Yeah, the V'nasati shalom ba'aretz has 2 meanings. Peace from our enemies, but even more, there'll be peace among ourselves. So, there's a cynical saying that, you get the Jews are always fighting with each other. You ever heard that? Jews are always fighting, and there's internal fighting. First of all, there isn't. Jews are arguing. There's very few physical altercations. But Jews argue a lot, but a lot of people argue a lot, except in other places people argue a lot and pull out a gun. Here, people argue a lot and then pull out a Kiddush cup and invite you over Friday night. They just come over to our house. That's how it works in Israel. My brother told me he once saw an argument, 2 cab drivers were fighting. So 2 cab drivers, they had a fender bender or something. So one of them got out, and they started hollering at each other. And one of them got out, he pulled out a gun. When he pulled out the gun, the other guy got so upset with him. That's when he started throwing fists. Not because he was afraid. He's like, you're insulting me. We both know you're not going to use the gun on me. You've insulted me by pulling out the gun, by making it sound like I'm afraid of you. I know you're not going to shoot me. Well, you know you're not going to shoot me. So why do you pull out the gun? You told me I'm stupid. That's when he got upset. That guy's going to shoot. Half the time people start fighting, and then it ends up with an invitation to the house for Shabbos. So Nasati Shalom Ba'aretz is not only for the enemies. There will be peace among ourselves, and this is especially true when there's prosperity. When there's prosperity, what ends up happening? What happens among wealthy people? There's a lot of competition, and then you're trying to outdo each other, and there's a lot of resentment, and so on. It comes along the Torah, that's one of the brachas. One of the brachas is, V'nasati sholom ba'aretz, there will be peace, v'shravtem ve'in machrid, v'yishbati chaya ra min ha'aretz, there will be no wild animals in the land, v'cherev lo savor ba'artzachem, there will be no sword traveling through your land. Now, we've already been told there's going to be peace. So what is the Torah telling you when it says there's not going to be any sword traveling through your land? What does that mean? You already told us there's not going to be any wars. So the Mefarshim say, anytime there's a war, anytime there's trouble in the world, it's not good for the Jews. Somehow the Jews always get caught in the middle. The Crusaders were on their way to Palestine to fight the infidels. Who got caught in the crossfire? The Jews. It's always the Jews. The Khmelnytsky massacres, it was a rebellion of the peasants against the Polish aristocracy. Who got slaughtered on the way? The Jews. Right? It's like whenever there's trouble, if there's trouble, then it's bad for the Jews. So the Torah says, okay, listen, somebody's going to travel through your land fighting to fight something that can take a shortcut. Let's say the Iraqis want to attack the Egyptians. So they'll travel through your land to take a shortcut. No. Because that can't be good for us either. Even that's not going to happen. Now comes the big question, which you're going to have to do a little thinking for. Take a look at Pasuk Zayin. No, nobody's going to even, the blessing will be that even others who are fighting with each other, they're not going to fight in our land. Because if they are fighting on our land, that can't be good for us either. Number one. Number two, even if they're not going to attack us, it's scary. Some guys like it. Oh wow, look at that. Yeah, fight. Let's go watch a fight. But women don't. Women don't want to see a fight. It bothers them. Hearing yelling, that sort of thing. Men probably enjoy it. Hey, let's see a good fight. That'll break the monotony. It's like guys yelling at each other in shul. Ever been in shul and a couple of people start yelling at each other? That happens periodically. Oh, good. Anything's better than listening to the Torah reading. This breaks up the monotony. Come on, get him. Go. You ever see in high school when two guys are going at it and one guy in the middle gets, come on guys, cut it out. Get out of here, will you? Get out of here. Let him go. Especially if this takes up time, we'll go late to class. Get out of here, a peace-loving leftist pacifist. Who needs you? So the Torah says, no, we're not going to have any of that. We're all going to get along. Now. Right here, stand up for a second, Moshe. Good, thanks. While you're up, could you make it colder? Yeah, thanks. There you go. Now I'll make you put on jackets. Surrounded by wimps. What can I do? Now take a look at Pasuk Zayin. 5 lines from the bottom. If you show the person next to you, if you see it, watch this. Uredaftem esoivechem, you will chase your enemies. V'naflu lifnechem lecharev. They will fall before you by the sword. See anything peculiar about that? Anything strike you as odd?
By the sword?
By the sword. They'll fall by the sword. And that means you'll kill them with the sword. What's strange, Yehuda?
Just said that there'll be peace.
There'll be peace. This is in case the enemies even think about starting up with you, what's going to happen? Even if they're good question, Yehuda. Even if the enemies do eventually, if they even think to start up with you, it's going to turn around very quickly. You're going to end up chasing them, and they're going to fall by the sword. Okay? Now, nothing about that strike you as strange. Look at the structure of the pasuk. You will chase after your enemies, and they will fall before you by the sword.
Looks like the fall should be after the sword, no?
They should be, if you're chasing somebody and you stab him with a sword, which way is he going to fall? Towards you or away from you?
Away from you.
If you're chasing somebody, so you're going to be stabbing him in the back. You're not going to chase him, and he's going to turn around and say, "Take your best shot." You know, he's going to be running, and then you're going to stab him in the back. Then his chances are he's going to fall away from you. Why does it say he's going to fall He's going to fall before you?
He teaches us do not stab people in the back.
No, to the contrary. I always felt that if you're going to hit. I always felt if you're going to hit in the back and run. That was my best position. You know, why would I hit him? Go confront the guy in front. You can get hurt that way. Wait till he turns around and smash him and go. No, that's not what Torah's. I'll tell you. Let's fight like gentlemen over. To the contrary. Take a look at Rashi. Lifnechem lecharv. It's the bottom line on the right column of Rashi. Bottom line, right column. Is the last two words. If you find it, show the person, people next to you. Lifnechem lecharev, ish becherev re'ehu. They'll kill each other. You're going to be chasing them, and they're going to fall by the sword because they're going to be killing you. They're going to be so panic-stricken and so confused, they're going to be killing each other, and they'll fall before you. All of which teaches us that what? What's the whole point of that? No pun intended. What's the point of them getting killed by the sword and falling forward by killing each other? The Jews will be left unharmed, number one. Number two, that this is obviously not by natural law. It's not taken by, that means that the law, it looks like we're fighting the war, and where's the war being fought? It's being, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is running the show from above. So they're going to fall for it. Where's the classic example of this? We spoke about this on Hanukkah. Do you remember when King Dovid Melch, before he became the king, so he had to confront Goliath, the Plishti. So Goliath comes out, he's dressed, he's what do you call it? He's dressed to the T. He's got armor all over his entire body. He's Sheish Amos Vizeres. He's about 10 armor. He's about at least 10 feet tall. At least 10 feet tall. What's that?
And a pinky.
And a pinky Vizeres, right? He's 10 something, maybe 11 feet tall. Dovid comes out there with his 5 stones, and Goliath says, "What, you fight me like a dog? I'm a dog that you're fighting me with sticks and stones?" And Dovid comes out and says, "I'm fighting you in the name of God." Doink, right? And he nails Goliath, boom, square in the forehead. Headshot, right? Boom. And the stone embeds itself. It's not just shot, it embedded itself in the forehead. Now, he gets killed. I want to ask you a question. You got 3 choices. You hit a guy 11 feet tall in the forehead and it kills him. Statistically, should he fall back? Should he collapse on the spot, or should he pitch forward?
Bang.
What's the least likely? That he's going to fall forward. Yet the Medrash says that Goliath pitched forward, and he fell right at David's feet. And David took his sword, and he chopped off his head. So the Medrash asks, why did that happen? That was good. Yeah, you like it. That was a good day for David. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Why? And not only that, he becomes a national hero. He gets to marry the king's daughter, and he gets rich. It was a good day. No, it was a good day. Yeah, it was a good day. So the Medrash says, and Goliath falls forward. Why do you have to fall forward? You know what the Medrash says? To save David 12 paces. How do you like that? If David would have kept, and now this is guy, remember, the background is this guy standing there blaspheming and cursing and intimidating the entire Jewish army for 40 days. And he says, come on, send out your warrior champion to fight me. If he beats me, well, my people will be slaves to you, and if I beat you, you'll be slaves to us. And the Jewish people are sitting there, and David comes along to check how things are. He says, what's up? Is that how you guys are? What's up? Which means, it used to be, we'd say to say, hi, how are you? How's the family? How's everybody doing? Today, you just say, what's up? Right? So David comes in, he says, hey, David takes a look, he says, well, what's everybody say? What's going on? What everybody does, he says, well, look what's going on. Look at that guy over there. Was it him? He said, what happens if I beat him? Well, you married a king's daughter. You go, really? No kidding. Give me the stones. Right? And David goes out there. So David goes out there. Okay, now, he just killed this guy. The guy pitches forward with a thing that hit him with that kind of force to kill him. So it says it was a miraculous occurrence. Why? He falls at David's feet so David could chop off his head. What would have happened if he would have pitched backwards? David would have had to walk 12 paces. Well, I think that David could have handled it. 12 paces under those circumstances would have been a pleasure. David would have danced along with his sword, and he would have said some psalms as he's going along. Mizmor David, Crunch. I don't think David would have had any problem in knowing that. It's like a guy going up. Can you imagine? A team wins the NCAA. Now they got to cut down the net. where they always cut down the neck. Oh, I got to walk all the way to the other end of the court. I don't know where you float. It's not a problem. So why do they need the little miracle? The answer is that the point is it's a miracle. That you see what the miracle is that he pitches forward. So here the Torah is telling you you're going to fight your enemies, you're going to chase them, they're going to fall apart, they're going to kill each other. You're not the ones who are doing this. It's a message to the Jewish people. Just remember that you're not the ones who are doing it. If you're victorious and if things are going well, just remember there's a God who's running the show over here. Why did Goliath pitch forward? Actually, it says because Hashem wanted to show. It's the equivalent of your wife making you a birthday cake. Your wife makes you a birthday cake because you come home and there's a birthday cake. No, there's a birthday cake, and there's a birthday cake with a cherry on top. What's the difference? And there's a birthday cake with a little bit of frosting on top of the cherry. The more sure the cake is one thing. The cake is special, but it's a little extra touch to show how special you are. All the Jewish people got a miracle. Dovid HaMelech gets his own little personalized miracle over. He didn't need it. He could have walked the 12 paces. It's a personalized miracle to show that Dovid HaMelech has got a special status among the Jewish people. The whole Jewish people had a miracle over. They were all saved. Otherwise, they would have been slaves. They couldn't beat this guy by natural law. But Dovid HaMelech gets his own little miracle just to show, everybody's special, but some, as George Orwellstein would have said, some people are more special than others. Right? Everybody's special. You ever heard George Orwell? You ever heard George Orwell? Everybody's 1884. Good guess. Everybody's equal. Cubs won the division that year. Everybody's equal, but some are more equal than others. Right? So everybody's special. Some are more special than others. So Dovid HaMelech gets it. That's the miracle over it. Now watch this. Now we got a problem, gentlemen. Now comes the real problem. V'radfu mikem chamisha mea. First of all, you're going to see how timeless the Torah is. This is written, even according to the Bible critics, this is written long before there were automatic weapons. This is back in the day of bows and arrows. V'radfu mikem chamisha mea. 5 of you will chase 100. Umeya mikem, 100 of you, revava yirdofu. 100 of you will chase 10,000. V'naflu oivechem lifnechem lecharv. And again the Torah repeats, your enemies will fall before you by the sword. Now, before anything, back in the day, if we were talking about swords and bows and arrows and clubs, if 5 guys are chasing 100 with bows and arrows or with clubs, at a certain point, the 100 guys are going to say, hey, what are we doing? Then they're going to turn around and clobber the 5 guys. Why are we running? Unless you don't have anything in your hand, if they got bows and arrows. But even bows and arrows, you got to shoot it till you reload and everything else. Today, we have no problem understanding this. No problem. How could 5 people chase 100? How could 100 people chase 10,000? You only need 1 person to chase 100,000. All you got to do is drop a bomb. What do you call it? You got all sorts of bombs, all sorts of good tezachen nowadays, so you can drop. You got atomic bombs, what do you call it? The plutonium bombs, all these interesting things.
Dovid.
Right? What's that?
Dovid.
Yeah, that wasn't even people. That was just, there was only Anthony Fucci on the run. But whatever it was, one guy chasing all these people. How could anybody have even thought of such a thing in the old days? It was unimaginable. Shows you again, just a little thing that shows you how authentic the Torah is. Who could have possibly thought such a thing? 5 guys are going to chase 100 with what? Most I think people are getting cold again. Maybe a little bit somewhere in the middle. That's enough. So 5 guys are chasing 100. Okay, that's the first thing you see over here. But there's a bigger problem here. And this is all the commentaries talk about. Many commentaries talk about. Take a look. Rashi points out, if 5 chase 100, by that ratio, how many should 100 chase?
2,000.
2,000. But the Torah doesn't say that. That was good. You did it quick. By 5 chase 100, 100 should chase 2,000 by that ratio. But it doesn't say that. It says 5 will chase 100, 100 will chase 10,000. 100 will chase 10,000. Why does that change? So if you take a look at the words of Rashi, it's a left column, second line. The big question here, guys, we're going to see there's several answers. One of them is absolutely brilliant. Chamisha meo mea revava. Asks Rashi, second line on left column, V'chikachu acheshbon, is that the ratio? Is that the calculation? V'halo lo hayat tzarich lomer ela mea mikem shnei alafim yirdofu. It should have said, 100 of you will chase 2,000. Says Rashi, Ela eino dome mu'atin ha'osin esatorah lemerubin ha'osin esatorah. You can't compare when a few are keeping the Torah to when many are keeping the Torah. That means we are a community. We are not lone rangers. A Jew on his own is not the same. A Jew who joins a group, his own potency grows exponentially. That's, by the way, why you daven with a minyan. Why do you daven with a minyan? You have to daven. There's always this thing about a minyan. So you daven with a minyan. The answer is, when we daven, anytime a person davens, is a good thing. It's always a good thing to daven. And you can say a prayer say a prayer when you're waiting for the bus. Please, Hashem, send us a bus. Right? And then the bus comes, and they just drives right past you. Now, please, Hashem, send us a bus that will stop for us, instead of the driver waving as he goes past. Right? Please, Hashem, send the bus. Please, Hashem, a woman's baking in the house. Please, Hashem, make sure this cake comes out good. Make sure the cake comes out good. It says should daven every time. That's a silent prayer. Nobody needs to hear it, by the way. That's between us and Hashem. But when we daven in the morning, you daven with a minyan. Why is that? The answer is, have you ever been at border control? When you come try and get into a country, you go to border. I've seen this in Israel. You go border control. What happens? You got to go there. You give him the passport, and the guy looks at it. He says, he looks at you like that. Somebody once said, if you look like your passport picture, you probably need the vacation. So he's looking at the passport, looking at you, make sure. Okay, what happens when a group of tourists comes? One guy goes over with all the passports, and he hands it to him. The guy gives a quick glancing over, and everybody goes through. So the commentary said that's what davening is like. When you daven on your own, the davening rises up to heaven, and the davening angels, the malachim up there who are inspecting through, like, well, I don't know, over here he was kind of spaced out, and over here, well, let's skip that one. Here he did pretty good over here, and they're looking it over. When you're davening with the minyan, they kind of put the whole thing in a box. This is an oversimplification, but the idea is the whole thing's put in a box, like, well, looks good. How about you, Frank? Yeah, looks good to me. And they pass it on. So you go along with the group. You're part of the group. HaKadosh Baruch Hu likes the numbers of the Jewish people, that we're doing things as a community. You don't? There's no such thing as lone rangers. Sometimes all through here, they're always got people who, they've got their own angle how to serve God. They figured out something the rest of us have missed for a couple thousand years. Right? Don't do anything. Just do what the group is doing. And you join the group. HaKadosh Baruch Hu likes that more. It gives you more potency. Your numbers, there's exponential strength when 100 are chasing the enemies instead of when 5 are chasing the enemies. But it works like that by all mitzvahs and by all Torah involvement. Now, we still have a problem with the ratio. Look at the words and tell me how the ratio works out perfectly. You could read the pasuk, and the pasuk will show you the ratio turns out perfect. Anybody see it? How does it work? Watch this. Israel, you got it?
No, absolutely no.
Hoodie, you got it? You figured it out? No? Watch this. Viradfu mikem chamisha mea. Yitz, you got this? 5 of you will chase 100. Umeya mikem. And 100 of you, groups of 5, Rivava will chase 10,000. So then the ratio is perfect. 100 of you will chase, 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you, groups of 5, which is 500, will chase 10,000. Then the ratio is perfect. 5 chase 100, 500 chase 10,000. Then the ratio remains perfect. And whatever Parsha says, you can read that right into the words. Right? And that works nicely. That's not the plain meaning of the pasuk, but at least it shows you that it could be understood that way as well. Okay. Guys, have you ever heard of the world short of food? Is there a food shortage in the world?
Some countries.
Well, you got, no, they got plenty. They got more, I think they're the main wheat supplier of the world, aren't they?
Yeah.
Plenty of wheat in Ukraine. If you want wheat, go to Ukraine. Right? Africa, plenty of, listen, it's not my fault that things haven't necessarily been developed there. You know, there are places in Africa where they don't have plumbing. It's not my fault. There's plenty of metal in the world. Just go build a toilet. That's not our problem. But food shortage, there are like people, look at religious families. Oh, so many kids. Yeah, I know so many kids in a family. You selfish. You're so selfish. You're bringing in so many kids into the world. There isn't enough food for starving children in Biafra, right? First of all, the kids in Biafra aren't about to eat my cereal. Did your mother ever tell you, finish your cereal, there are kids starving in Biafra? And then you said, yeah, well, wrap it up and send it to Biafra. And your father said, don't get smart, just eat the cereal. That's usually how those conversations played out. So we're not, there's plenty of food in the world. There are those people who are concerned about whales usually. People who shoot people because the people who are very concerned about whales, because listen, whales, they tell me, oh, by the way, there's a certain lynx that is now almost extinct. What's it called? Extinct. I'm not sure what a lynx is, but I could guarantee one thing, that has not kept me up at night. Darn, those lynx are almost gone. There's a certain lizard which is endangered. There's a lizard as a protected species because we can't, that lizard might, well, really? No kidding. Last time we had a lizard in the house, my wife screamed and I had to get him out of the house, so I'm not sure. And even if it is something, even if it's true, I have to admit my sins in public, I wasn't worried about those lizards. I'll tell you the truth. When I sleep at night, I got other things on my head. I'm not worried about lizards. The electric company that's sending me a bill, they're not lizards. Right? So I have much greater concern for them than I do for extinct, orcas. Right? Isn't that what those whales are called? They're orcas, right? See how sophisticated we are? Orcas, right? There's these orcas, this, orcas, that. I got news for you. I'm not interested in seeing orcas, and as long as they keep a distance from me, I'm good. I don't want to have anything to do with orcas. But you got all these people who are worried, there's not enough food in the world, and for Orthodox Jews, bring so many kids into the world, they're so selfish, and so on and so forth, not thinking about the rest of the world. And the truth of the matter is that the people who don't want to have kids, they're the selfish ones, because they're not interested in spending time with their kids and in having to have their kids run their life because they want to do what they want to do. Okay, that we all know. In the Torah world, if you walk into a family, if there are 9 kids in a family, that's not considered a big family. In the Torah world, that's not because of 9 kids. 9 kids is about average. 9 kids is about average. 11, you're in AAA. 13, 14, you're in the majors. I had a family with 17 kids. I had a family with 19 kids. Well, nobody does it, but that's a
Baby production is not a
baby production. Yeah, an automatic diaper changing machine. I knew one couple that had twins, a regular, and twins in the first 3 years of marriage.
What?
They had 5 kids under 2.5 years old. How do you like that? Not only that, huh? Yeah, there's a lot of noise in the house. And then, not only that, Bill Cartwright. You know who Bill Cartwright is, I'm assuming? No. You're culturally deprived. Bill Cartwright was the center for the Bulls when they won the championship in 1991. That's something you should have known by now. So Bill Cartwright had 4 kids, and I remember he's quoted as saying, somebody said, Bill, how are things at home? He says, oh, really noisy. 4 kids. Most from families have that in the first 2.5 years of marriage. Right? He had 4 kids. That's considered a big family out there. In a Torah world, yeah, 11 kids, 12 kids, 14 kids. Right? That's nothing. So what's the answer? And there's how are you going to feed them all? Look at what the Torah says. 3 lines from the bottom. Ufanisi aleichem, I will turn to you with divine hashgacha. I will supervise you individually. V'hifresi eschem, I will increase you. V'hirbesi eschem, and I will multiply you. V'akimosi es brisitchem, and I will maintain my covenant. Look at the next pasuk. V'achaltem yoshan noshan, you're going to eat the old produce, and then v'yoshan miptei chodesh tatzir, you're going to still have food in your granaries, which you're going to have to empty out in order to bring in the new crop, because there's going to be so much abundance. Which means the more kids we have, and the bigger we grow, the more abundance there's going to be. There's no shortage of food in the world. If there are people starving in Gaza, is there a food shortage over there? No, there's a Hamas surplus over there. That's why they don't have food, because Hamas is stealing the food. But it's not because there's a food shortage. There's no food shortages in the world. That's all nonsense. That's just the way they said this woman got on a bus in Israel. The old days they used to have these punch cards. Now they have these nifty green, the Ravkav. This, what do you call it? You just hit the thing. The old days you had to have a cardboard card. that had, you'd pay a certain amount of money, and the guy would stand there with the puncher. Did you ever see that, or are you already born into Ravkav? You're born into Ravkav. The old days, they used to have what they call, boom, 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 boom. So this woman gets on the bus with 10 kids. The bus driver, here in Israel, the bus driver goes, she says, lady, do me a favor, next time leave half your kids at home. She says, I did, I have 20. And there was a Hasidic guy who was walking in Mea Shearim. So this guy's pushing his way. You've seen this. He's got the kids lined up around the thing, it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, lined up around things. There was a German tourist. So this German tourist goes up to this Hasidic guy. She says, don't you think you're being selfish bringing so many kids into the world? He says, we are being selfish, and I'll stop when I get to 6 million. So, they're selfish, they're getting musser from a German tourist. The German tourist giving you some musser about the value of life. So what do you call it? So the Torah says, you got nothing to worry about. There's going to be plenty for everybody. Okay. Then the Torah says like this. Now this is very strange because we're in the middle of, by the way, this week's Parsha, if you're in Shul, we get to what's called the Tochacha. The Tochacha is the rebuke. And what's going to happen is when you get to where does it start? The next part, you're going to hear the person reading the Torah. Normally, when the Baal Koreh, so you hear the Baal Koreh as he reads it, he goes, "Ufanisi alechem ve'ifreisi eschem v'beisi eschem v'akavasi esbitlichem v'achaltem yashod noshod v'yoshod mipnei chodosh totziu." Right? That's how they read the Torah. Here, you're going to hear him at a certain point. He's going to read like this. On the next page, starting from 2 lines on the top. What you're going to hear in Shul, so that you get used, so you know what's happening, is going to go like this. Ani Hashem Elokeichem asher hotzei eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim miyos lechem lehem avadim v'yishbar motos lechem v'olech eschem kol mimiyos v'im lo tishvu levi lo sasos kol mitzvos levi Bechukosai demazos v'yishvar yigaler. All of a sudden he's going to drop his voice and start reading faster. And the reason he's going to be doing that is because that's going into the Tochacha. The Tochacha is the rebuke of the Jewish people, the calamities and the curses, what's going to befall the Jewish people if they're not cooperative. First, the Torah starts telling you what will happen when we're good. Then the Torah goes in and shifts, so the Torah starts telling you what will happen when we're bad. By the way, the third aliyah, normally they call somebody up to the Torah, right? Yamod, Reuven ben Shimon, HaKohen, they call people up. The third aliyah, they don't announce it. They don't call it. The tradition is not to call somebody up, and the person reading it is going to be the person who reads the Torah himself. He's going to make the brachas. Normally, even when the Baal Koreh, the guy reading the Torah, can get an aliyah. They call Yamod, Reuven ben Shimon, Revi'i, and he's the Baal Koreh. He makes the brachas, and he starts reading. Here, they're not going to announce it. He's just going to all of a sudden start making brachas, and then he's going to read it himself. And the reason they do that tradition, is that we don't want it to be as if we're calling somebody up to be cursed. So he starts reading it, and he drops his voice, and he reads it a little quicker. But you still have to hear every word, because every word is still a mitzvah of the Torah, and you have to hear it. So just be aware that that's what's going to be happening. Now, right now we're in the middle of the brachas. But now something strange happens. If you look at the top of the next page, it says, "V'nasati mishkani b'sochachem," I will put my tabernacle, my sanctuary among you. V'lo sigal nafshi eschem, and I will not reject you. V'lo sigal nafshi eschem sounds like, well, even if you deserve to be rejected, I won't reject you. Now, why would God talk about rejection? Why would God talk about I mean, can you imagine you're going out with a girl and you're planning on marrying her, you're dating her, you say, wow, I really like you. You're like, you're really, you're this, and you don't have to worry. I'm not going to reject you. Yeah. Oh, yeah? Well, consider yourself rejected, brother. What's that? How did that get in there? I mean, that's not how you talk to a girl. Why would you even bring up something negative? You're telling me how good I am. You're telling me how good I am. And you tell a girl, wow, you're this, you're that. I'm not even worried that you're a lousy baker. How tactless could you be? How tactless could you be? The answer is, you understand? So how did this get in here? And then the Torah continues, I'll go among you, you'll be my nation. Why would God say that? The answer is that even when we're good, we're not perfect. Even when we're good, we're not perfect. We're going to get all these brachas because we're pretty good. We're pretty good. We're not perfect. God is saying, you know what, I understand that you're not perfect. And we all have to remember this. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect human being. You were going to mess up. It happens sometimes. But I'd rather mess up when I'm trying, at least I'm trying, as opposed to somebody who's just, his whole life is one big mess up. The whole life is just one mess up. I'm not even interested in trying. Yes, you're going to make the wrong bracha sometimes. Yes, you might miss davening sometimes. Yes, you might speak lashon hara sometimes. Yeah, we're going to mess up. But at least our overall attitude is we're trying to grow. We're trying to be better. So God says, you know what? And I want you to, this is part of the bracha. Part of the bracha is, even if you're not perfect, you know what? I don't expect perfection. And don't worry, I'm not going to reject you. We have to try our best. We have to try our best. There are no dispensations. But we have to be realistic. We always have to be realistic. Guy comes over here, oi, yesterday I forgot to daven. Okay, that's what halacha talks about. What happens if you forget to daven? Why does halacha talk about if you forget to daven? Because it could happen that you forget to daven. That happens. It could happen. You got caught up with something. Okay, so halacha, okay, so I made a mistake. What do you want? I made the wrong bracha. I was trying to make I wanted to make a hamotzi, and instead I made the bracha on lightning. Right? Instead, I made the wrong bracha. Okay, it happens. Usually not that extreme. Right? But it happened. You make a mistake. Okay, we're not perfect. The lo sigal nafshechem. You don't have to worry. I'm not going to reject you. Then God says, I will walk among you with the Jewish people. I heard this girl comes home from college. She says, hey, Dad, he says to her parents, I met this guy in college. You're going to really like him. You're going to really like him. His name is Jack, and you're going to really like him. Her father says, yeah, does he own any property? She goes, you men are so curious. He asked me the same thing about you. So the bracha is when we're making an attempt, and that's what Judaism is. Judaism is about trying your best. The Gemara says Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba betrunya imbriosav. God does not make unreasonable demands on us. He doesn't hold us to an exacting standard beyond our capability. Let's say you're in a bad mood. You got a headache, the stock market is down, your kid just broke his glasses, and while all this is going on, you yelled at your wife. You shouldn't yell at your wife. You should never yell at your wife. But I did. I apologized to my wife. You also have to apologize to God, because any man-to-man sin is a man-to-God. But God, listen, I understand that's life. In a home where there's a home where no one ever raises their voice, that's not a home. It's called a cemetery. When you walk past a cemetery, nobody raises their voice. In a home, things are lebedik sometimes. We're supposed to work on it. It's not supposed to be like that. We're supposed to be gentlemen. Everybody has a bad day. So I decided not to go to shul one day because I'm just in a lousy mood. Everything's going wrong. Okay, what do you want? I'm a human being. What do you want? And God cuts us slack. Having said that, we have to be careful not to cut ourselves slack. That's the trick. Let God cut the slack, not us. Then the Torah says, one last point for today. Ani Hashem Elokeichem asher hotzeisi eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am Hashem your God. I took you out of Egypt. Miyos lehem avodim, to not be slaves. V'eshbor motos ulchem. I will break. How does the article translate it? I will break the staves of your yoke. A yoke that you put, where they used to put a yoke on an ox to plow, so they got the wooden sticks, where the sticks that are attached somehow to the yoke on the ox. V'olech eschem kol miyasad, I will take you upright. Now, the plain meaning here is, we got out of Egypt, we were slaves in Egypt, then we were oppressed by others. Sometimes the Jews have a slave mentality. A little bit of like we're okay, where's it coming from next? Who's going to be picking on us now? God says that's all going to come to an end. I'm going to take you out. You're going to walk upright. You're going to be free people walking upright. Nobody controls you. At a deeper level, walking upright there's a symbolic idea that if we keep the Torah, which it starts out, Bechukosai, we study Torah, we keep the mitzvahs, it's going to have an effect on us. And the effect on us is that we're going to look at the world, where the world is absolutely ugly, corrupt, morally bankrupt, and we're going to walk upright. We're going to be the ones who say, are you kidding me? That kind of behavior? I'm phobic because I don't tolerate your behavior, so it's my fault? No, you're doing something abominable. You can't even go in. A guy told me, doctor, woman gives birth, and she says to the doctor, what is it, a boy or a girl? He says, I can't tell you because I could be sued if I do. What a beautiful world, right? Well, it's something. It's an it, right? So we're going to walk upright in this world. We're going to say, what are you, out of your minds over here? You're what do you call it? They laugh at us because in a Torah society, there's gender separation. You know, from the earliest age, the boys are in a boys' school, they're in a cheder, the girls are there's no dating, there's no nothing. It's a total gender separation. And they laugh at us that, wow, you guys are so backwards and you're so this, you're so that, you're so the other. Yeah, but we're not so abortion. That we're not, you know, we don't have drug issues, right? If you got it all worked out, so how come your kids are walking in, how come in your schools they have to go through a metal detector to make sure nobody stabs a teacher? And a cheder, the only thing they're worried about is the kid forgot his sitter at home. You know, no, it's an ugly world. It's a world that's lost any sense of value. And we rise above it. We're upright. We're going to stand upright in that world. But that's only a result of studying Torah, of living life as a Torah Jew. When you live life as a Torah Jew, and you know the Gemara says there will come a time where people who are decent are considered insane. The decent people are considered the insane people. Why? Of course, that's the world we live in. You're the one. It's your fault for being. What do you call it? If you're intolerant? You know, the irony is, what's it called? What do they call it? You're not being politically correct. I love that. Usually from some girl, some feminist named Lisa. You know, oh, you're not being politically correct. Yeah, you're being. No, the other one. Oh, this is my favorite. You're being very judgmental. So what you like to say is, well, you're just mental, you know, but okay, we don't say that. You're being very judgmental. Yeah, but you're being judgmental about my judgmentalness. You're judging. Oh, oh you're so big. You can jump off make you jump off a roof. As the Torah says, you're going to be the ones who are upright. You're going to see it for what it is, while the rest of the world is absolutely blinded. Okay, we're going to continue. This doesn't sound good. We're going to continue tomorrow with the curses. Heck of a way to end this year. Just remember, if anybody's interested, I have the Helping Your Son Succeed in Gemara sheets, which I showed yesterday, which are available on my email.